Alright, what's going on today, guys? Today we're going to be working on the 240 brakes and try to get this e-brake working. So if you have a 240 and a very common problem with them, your e-brake doesn't work, we're going to show you guys how to fix that with some more aggressive brakes on the rear. Right now, currently, I pull the e-brake and it's pretty much just good enough to make it park. Other than that, it's garbage. These are going to be the pads that we're using, like Mu spec. These are the D1 spec ones. So they're specifically meant to grab real fast or grab hard. For the rotors, we're going to be using some EBC brakes. And these ones are actually slotted to help dig into the brake pad. Alright guys, so you're going to start by removing 2 bolts. I recommend doing these ones first, just loosen them up. You got 14 mil on these. So those ones, and then 17 mils on these bolts. There's 2 here. And then 2 here. Alright, so now that you have these removed, you should be able to slide this caliper right out. So now the bolts are off. I just wiggled the caliper loose and it should come right off. So next, this piece will just slide right out from the top. And then now you'll be able to remove your pads. And they should just, from here, just slide them right up and out. Then you should have a piece that looks something like that. So if you can, try to leave these clips in the bottom end because we'll need them for the new brake pads. Alright, so now what you're going to want to do is just pull these little pins out of here. So just go ahead and pull these little boots back. And then they should pop out just like this. All we're going to do is pull a little bit of the grease off and put some new stuff on. Just take a cloth and just wipe them nice and clean. I'm just using synthetic brake lubricant. So now just apply a little bit of new grease on there all around. Make sure you grab every side of it. What I'm do is just reinsert the pin. And that's it. Repeat to the other side and you're good to go. Now to remove the rotor, I'm going to be using, I believe this is an M8 bolt, 13 millimeter. I'm going to put it in one of these little holes right here in the rotor and just spin it in until it pops right out. Alright, now that you have this removed, you can put your fresh rotor back in. Now that you have your calipers apart, all you're going to do is take your brake pads and you're going to just slide it in on top just like this. And then slide these back. So I just had to take some needle nose pliers and kind of stretch these pins out just a smidge, just to kind of get those other ones in there because it was a pretty tight fit. And as for this top brake pad here, I basically just took it and I just slid it right on top like that. Alright, so now we're going to put these back in. So you want to just get some vice grips and stick it in the grooves there and just rotate it clockwise to get the piston all the way in. Another option is to use one of these. I ended up buying one, but it didn't quite fit too well in there. It was kind of getting stuck on the outer side of the caliper there until I started twisting it in. So that might be an option. I don't think it's the greatest design, but vice grips does do the job just as well. Of course, you can get the proper little discs too to do the job. So now that that's pushed in, you kind of want it to be flush, and so you're able to stick the brake pads back in there. Pro tip of the day, put one lug nut on so your rotor doesn't wiggle around. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put these pads right on the rotor just like so. And once those are on there, go ahead and put this piece back together. Alright, so once you get your bolts back on there tight, your 214s and your 217s, just make sure they're torqued down nice and tight. Alright guys, so just a quick little review. I got the brakes on, I took it for a little drive up and down the block. Night and day difference for sure. You can really feel that extra grab there. As for the e-brake, I tried ripping the e-brake a couple times, and I noticed a difference. Right at the very top, it's like it grabs really hard. Now the only other thing to really check is going to be your e-brake cable. So for mine, for instance, I feel like it was a little bit loose and it needed some adjustment, so I'll show you guys how to do that. Things that you're going to need is a 10 mil socket. It's going to need to be a deep socket, otherwise you're not going to be able to get it on the bolt, and a little thin attachment to really get to it there. Alright, so all you got to do is put that little socket in the hole there and give it a few cranks. You'll just be able to feel the e-brake kind of get tightened, so obviously test it. I've already tightened this one. It used to go up when I pull it up probably about, I don't know, maybe about 12, 13 clicks. I think Nissan recommends about 7, so. And at that 7th click for me, it gets really tight. I can maybe get one more out of it. So that's a huge difference from about 13, 14 maybe to about half of that. So that should fix the problem. Of course, your e-brake might be stretched out, the cable itself. So hopefully you can adjust that. If you're finding that you can't adjust it or it's not doing anything when you end up turning it, obviously make sure you're turning it the right way. And the second thing would be maybe your e-brake cable has already been tightened a few times and been a little bit abused. So you're not going to be able to get that extra tightment. So the only really thing that you can do at that point is you're going to have to replace the e-brake cable, which I possibly thought about. I'm going to run this for a little bit, see how long it lasts. And I did price out the e-brake cable. I think it is a little over $100, so I'm probably end up going to be just spending that money on a hydro e-brake, because this is a drift car, and I think that's kind of somewhere where I want to go in the future with this. And it's just a little bit nicer to have if I'm able just to pull it right from the top here rather than pulling it up. I think it's just a little bit more comfortable and easier to get those brakes to lock up. Hopefully today's video helped you guys get your e-brake locking. Maybe your e-brake didn't work at all before, so hopefully it could help in that. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for other 240 content. And hopefully you're going to make it out to some of these drift practices here pretty soon and give you guys some shots of that. Alright, thanks for watching, guys.